I'm Phil Mayhew, and I am one of the coordinators for the Reach Cold Weather Shelter. We're going to be doing a filming of the overnight volunteer responsibilities. First of all, we want to thank everybody that is watching this and has shown any interest in the Reach Cold Weather Shelter. This is our 15th year doing this, and it will be one of the most fulfilling things that you can ever do in your life. For those of you who have already done all of this will probably be somewhat of a refresher, but for those of you who are thinking about doing it, you can see that this is sort of what goes on in the shelter, and hopefully you will still be interested at the end of this video. The first thing that we do, the overnight volunteer comes in at about 10 o'clock at night. Try to arrive no later than 10 o'clock because there are a few things that you need to do. The first thing that you'll do when you arrive is you come to the desk and you will sign the volunteer sign-in sheet. People will be at the front desk and they will have this sheet. It will already be mostly filled out because all of the people in the kitchen and at the desk have already signed it. So you will be signing in with that. The next thing you can do is come in and hang your coat up. This is also the office where you will be sleeping. There's a coat rack here that you can hang your coat up, and there is a fold-out bed that you can use for your overnight sleeping. If you would like, you can bring a sleeping bag and a pillow, or there are sheets and pillows and blankets and all of that security will show you where they are. And once you've done this a couple of times, you can develop your own ideas of sleeping. So, now we need to go to the kitchen. When you arrive at 10 o'clock in the evening, there are a few things that need to be set out for in the morning because it makes it much easier on security if these things are already done. Sometimes the people that are already here will already have these things done, but if they're not, then you will come into the kitchen and probably fumble around like everybody else does looking for these things. The main thing is the coffee and the hot water. Coffee pots are normally located down here under these sinks. There is a huge debate every year over how much coffee to put in these things. If you want to check with security, you can see what the recipe of the year is, or the recipe of security that night is, or whatever the flavor of the month is. But if you cannot find anybody, a good rule of thumb is to fill this thing up with coffee to about a third. And you may want to not only put a filter in, if you at least wet this, it will keep the coffee grounds from falling through into the coffee. And then you can assemble the coffee pot. It's fairly self-explanatory. Make sure that you have the bottom of the stem in this hole in the bottom of the pot, or you will hear about it at about 2 o'clock in the morning when this thing starts jumping across the counter. You only make that mistake one time, and Steve will let you know about it. The other things that you can do are you can get the cereal and donuts. There will normally be some donuts, cakes, various things out here that are set up for breakfast. Once you get the coffee pots prepared, just go ahead and set them over on the counter. Do not plug them in because then the coffee will be ready at midnight, and we want the coffee to be ready at about 5 o'clock. Security will plug those coffee pots in, so don't worry about doing that. Then you can come back over here, and this is the cereal dispenser. You notice there is no cereal in it. There is cereal back here on these racks that you can fill these different canisters, and these will dispense cereal in the morning. You can also put out donuts and various things, whatever you got. You can put those things on this cart. These will normally be wheeled out by security in the morning, and they will be out when you get up at 5 o'clock because some people do leave earlier than that, and security is up all night, and they normally will put these out. If they are not out in the morning, you can wheel this cart out. You wheel the cart out to this or some location right in here, normally where these clothes are, this table will be where you would put your donuts and various other things. That'll pretty much conclude what you need to do to actually get ready for breakfast in the morning, the prep that you need to do that evening. There are some other things that they may need help with during the night. Overnight, some people will come in from work and various people checking in maybe from the hospital or something like that. There are meals that will be set back. They will be wrapped in this refrigerator. What you can do is come in here, take one of these meals, take it into and put it into the microwave. Obviously don't put any aluminum foil in that. This microwave was bought special to fit our meal trays. A tray will fit in there. So go ahead and put that in there, nuke it for a little bit. You can ask the person if whatever you've cooked for them is hot enough for them. If it's not, put it back in. That is pretty much what you would be doing for someone who comes in. You may also be asked to sign someone in that comes in late. If you're asked that, it would be good if you were familiar with the paperwork, and you can see that in the check-in videos. So it would be helpful for you to watch that. But that will pretty much conclude your responsibilities for the evening part of the volunteer session. Then you can go to bed, check with security, make sure that that you've satisfied everything that they want, and then you can go to bed and sleep until about 4:30 or 5 o'clock is about when I get up whenever I'm here. You can get up earlier or try not to get up too much later, or you can sit up all night. Some people sit up all night and play chess with the security guys. They appreciate that, but that is not a required responsibility. So you can go to bed now. When you get up in the morning, part of your responsibility is basically running the kitchen. Normally guests are not allowed in the kitchen. If there is some reason for a guest to be in the kitchen, you can ask for a volunteer to come into the kitchen to help you out if you get overwhelmed or something like that. Security will be here to let you know when that needs to happen. But what you would be doing is they will bring their dirty dishes and stuff here. They'll fill them in a rack. You rinse them off. There are multiple brushes and squeegees here available for you to scrub. Sometimes oatmeal sticks to everything, so you may need to scrub those. A couple of quick notes: if the dishwasher is not turned on, you would turn that on with this button and this button, and you want to make sure that the dishwasher is full of water, because if it is not, you will burn the heating elements out. All of this is explained in Gary's kitchen video. He goes extensively into all of that, so I won't go into all of that because Dalton has told me not to go into all of that. So anyone will come, multiple people will be coming to the window to ask for things, for butter and for cheese and for toast and all this stuff. Most of that stuff is available back here, but if it is not, you can ask security, and sometimes you just have to tell people we don't have it. They do know that we don't have some things, but feel free to go back, scrounge around, look and see what you can find. A big thing that they ask for is a plastic bag to carry their stuff in. Plastic bags are located back there on the shelves. The regular Weiss Market bags or whatever bag you get at a shopping thing, we have a big bin of those back there, so that's a popular item to go out with them to carry their stuff during the day. While you're doing this, security has got a lot of stuff that they're doing out in the main area. They're gathering up laundry, they're taking care of paperwork, they're doing all sorts of things that I can't even guess what they're doing, but at some point they may come and call you to help them with something they're doing out there. They may have some sort of problem with a resident. It's very rare, but if something like that does come up, you just go and you help them and just follow security's instructions. To close the shelter, The most important thing that you do is come through this kitchen. I always start at this end. The items that you need to turn off are this hood will have lights on. You turn those off. You go through and you make sure that these switches, one switch here and this switch right here, are off. If you've drained the dishwasher, if the water is dirty and you drain the dishwasher, please make sure that these switches are off when that dishwasher is drained, because it will burn the heating elements out of this dishwasher. Then we go through and we check and make sure that all of the residents have done their jobs, and security will know all of this. If they've wiped down the tables and mopped the floors and things like that. Once all of those things are complete, people will start leaving. You close the kitchen and bring the cereal and everything in at 6:45. Sometimes that'll run a little bit over, but you try to do it as quickly as possible, because security is being paid, and they're not being paid after 7 o'clock. So please try to expedite that as quickly as you can. The last thing that you'll do before you leave the shelter in the morning is a quick run through with security to make sure that no one is left. So don't just do a cursory glance around. Make sure you look in all the corners, because with our camera angle, right now you can see there's a corner right here that someone could easily sit in with a chair. So make sure that you check all the nooks and crannies, and I'll show you those nooks and crannies right now. In the bathroom, make sure that you check each one of the stalls. Don't just walk in and assume that all of those stalls are empty, the showers and all of that kind of stuff. Check each one of these things. We have actually had people try to stay in during the day. It is cold outside, and it's a very reasonable thing for them to try to stay in during the day. I've only in 15 years caught one person, and he was sleeping in one of those beds right there, or trying to act like a big pile of clothes. If you are looking at a bed, look at the beds, look closely, and if something looks amiss, go over and poke it. Make sure that someone is not trying to stay in. The exact same thing goes for the women's area. Go through, check. If something looks odd, looks amiss. If you are a male and you're going into the female bathroom, even though the shelter is empty, announce yourself, so you don't walk in on somebody trying to get in some last minute primping. As you're leaving, make sure that the door to the men's section is locked. You can use the bathroom key. It is the same key that will lock this. Make sure the men's room is secure before you leave. Also with the women's room, do the same thing. Check their bathrooms, make sure their area is secure, because we want to make sure that everybody's valuables stay safe during day resources. We're now 4 floors up in the stairwell. You need to come up here, at least one person. You can draw stalls for whoever has to go up the stairs, but one person needs to come up and check this area. Steve always makes me do it. I'm not exactly sure why, but you want to make sure that nobody is hiding in this upper part of the stairwell. We're now all the way at the bottom of the stairwell by the lower exit door. As you can see, this is another good cubby for someone to be hidden. Please come down and check this. Whoever's checking the stairwell, you go all the way up, you come all the way down, and then you're ready to go out and meet security in the street, and your duties are done.